everybody, SPAZ here. It's time for another episode of Tales of the Albums on the Wall. Today I'm going to be discussing Split Enz Frenzy. It's my favorite Split Enz album, but it's got a convoluted history because Split Enz were known for their theatrical performances. They were known for geometric hairstyles, makeup, colorful clown-like clothing, just this great visual spectacle. And once Phil Judd left, they brought in Neil Finn, who a lot of you obviously know through Crowded House and his solo material. But they brought him in for the album Dysrhythmia, but it wasn't until Frenzy, which was recorded in 1978, that Neil actually got to sing a few songs. The lead vocals are predominantly handled by Tim Finn, and this is a fresh and earthy new approach to their sound. They still sound very much like the Split Enz of old, but instead of having these wonderfully elaborate progressive-like arrangements of these wonderful songs, they've basically stripped it down to the core with Frenzy, which is a wonderful collection of songs. You may not recognize anything off of the album. Betty, Hermit McDermott, Famous People, Stuff and Nonsense, Mind Over Matter, Give It a Whirl. A lot of great songs on this. Well, when the album first came out, it didn't do that well. But a little later, Split Enz released a new single called I See Red. That was huge. So they took that song, they put it on Frenzy, reissued it, and that's the version most people know. This is the original cover of the Frenzy album. With each subsequent reissue, same picture, but sometimes the font or the placing of the wording changes, just like the one I'll show you here in a second. But when this album came out in America a few years later, like 82 or 83, they actually remixed the whole album. They took off about half of the songs and replaced them with either alternate versions of songs or songs that were not on this version. I mean, right there, that's 3 versions of Frenzy that are available on vinyl. But when they reissued this on CD, this is not only remastered, it's remixed. And it's not the remixes that they did on the American version. So it gets convoluted, but it's a fantastic collection of songs because it finds a band hungry and vulnerable and working so hard to create great material. And they really came up with a great batch of songs on Frenzy. Now, of course, the next album was True Colors, and that, of course, was a huge worldwide hit for them. But this is what I feel is the best Split Enz album, because it strips away everything. It's not big, grandiose production. It's not theatrical in any way. It's the band playing songs and fighting to be heard, and it's really a great collection of songs. Here is the back of the remix remaster. But like I said, this is a remix and remastered version. So it's going to sound very, very different from this. But I need to have both of them because I love both versions. But anyway, Frenzy, my favorite Split Enz album, means a lot to me. It's really the first album that I got into them on, so it holds a certain special place in my heart. But one thing I want to mention to you who love the Frenzy album, you may also want to get the Rootin' Tootin' Lutin' tapes. And real quickly, the story behind this is the band were kind of stranded in Luton, England, and they were writing songs and demoing them and then sending them back to Australia, trying to renew their contract with Mushroom Records. Well, it worked because they came up with a great batch of demos. So then they flew back to Australia and they recorded Frenzy. Well, this collection contains demos that they recorded. Most of them they didn't re-record for Frenzy. So this is almost like a whole new album written the same time as the Frenzy album. So this is a great addition to your Frenzy collection. But if you were lucky enough to get the fan club version, you'll have received a second CD, and this contains even more demos. Some of these actually made B-sides. Some of them became the tracks on the American version of Frenzy, and there's a few here that have never been released. So this is a great CD. But you're definitely going to want to check these out because that's the album on my wall. So anyway, that's it. I appreciate you hanging out and listen to me jibber jabber. Until the next time, smell you later.
She got the body, she got the soul. I'm torn apart without her. I'm gonna trust her with my future. I'm gonna keep a tight rein on her heart. She's one of the few things I feel